Okay, so now let's see if this is going to work a little better today. Yesterday we had a little bit of recording glitch, or it's still frozen, so I've sent a new link, but I can get it. We do have the replay from day one. It's just only embedded in Facebook at the moment, so I'm still sorting that out. Let's see here, okay. Okay, excellent. That is done. All right. While we're waiting for technology to come on and other people to join us, welcome to day 2. Let me know how you're feeling today. Let's see where our live streaming is coming in at. All right, okay, now that's working. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. Excellent, good. Lighter after yesterday, feel more peace. I love that. Yay, that's the total goal of doing these master classes, is to start bringing some more peace and some more lightness into our situations of feeling brokenhearted, which can feel very heavy and or not so peaceful. They can kind of disrupt our peace. So today, day 2 of our Heart Mending Masterclass series, I'm super excited to talk about, because we're going to look about how your love journey can hold the secret keys to assist in mending your broken heart. I got a really beautiful download this morning for the healing that we're going to be doing a little bit later. And from that download, been really guided to set some context before we jump into looking at our love journey and understanding how it can hold some really key information, not only around our healing, but it also can present some patterns for us that maybe are no longer serving us in terms of how we are giving and receiving love. So the first thing before you do anything is just, it's so important to give yourself grace for where you are at. And I know that can sound like the easiest thing to say, and it can be one of the most difficult things to do, because we want to feel better. We want to not to continue to suffer, but we also want to honor this traumatic event that we've been through. And sometimes we don't even know what we're feeling or what is happening, and we don't, but we feel like we should be somewhere different, or we should not be feeling a certain way. And again, like we talked about yesterday, when we have all of these aspects of us that can be affected by a life event, it's really hard to feel complete and whole. And every person integrates grief, trauma, brokenheartedness very, very differently. Even though there are the textbook classic stages of grief, they even can look different for everybody else. For example, sadness for you could be very different for sadness for me. The way I express and feel my anger might be completely different than the way somebody else feels it. And so it's allowing yourself the grace to feel things the way that you feel them. And it's really important to give yourself permission to process how you process, we can get very caught up in feeling like, well, maybe this is not a very healthy way to process, or we tell ourselves, maybe it feels really good just to like zone out and watch some Netflix or get lost in a book or throw yourself into work. And that feels nice for you. And there might be a part of you that feels like, oh, I know this isn't really the best thing to do, but allow yourself that permission sometimes to process in the way that it's manageable for you. Because when you're allowing yourself, and it may look like just zoning out or checking out or doing something really you don't feel is productive for your to-do list, it allows those aspects of us to process in the way that they need to process. And it's really important to catch ourselves in this kind of permission process, right? Let me know if this resonates at all about how you're processing that. We often feel like we should be doing X, or it's not healthy, or it's not good to be like Y or Z. Let me know if you've encountered any of that. That was something that was very prevalent to me. Yeah, especially having kids. I kept feeling like I needed to be there 100% for them. I needed to put on this, brave face about all of these things that I was facing that I didn't have the answers to, but I had to make it seem like it was just all going to be peaceful and fine. And on the inside, I was terrified, and I didn't feel like that was helping me whatsoever. Just by putting on this busyness was, one, kind of creating anxiety. But if I didn't just allow myself the permission to feel it, then it wasn't going to change. And so this brings me to comfort zone. So I was talking a little bit about like zoning out a bit of time. Hi, welcome. If you're just popping on, go ahead and let us know in the chat box how you're doing today. We're talking about day 2, how to give ourselves grace so we can create some space around ourselves to heal. Comfort zone is a really, really important one, right? After we experience some sort of event, as we've been calling it, anything that has broken our heart, our comfort zone also shifts very dramatically. Maybe the places that you went before no longer feel comfortable. Maybe the group of friends that you used to be with just doesn't feel really good to hang out with them because you're nervous people are going to want to talk about whatever happened, or they're going to treat you differently and you don't want to feel like you're being treated differently. And so, hi, Kim. Good. I'm glad you're doing well. It's so nice to see you too. So it's really important to honor where we're at with our comfort zone. I know for me, Kim, I can't seem to find the mute. Can you just make sure you've muted yourself so we don't get any little noises on the recording? Thank you. Awesome. I know for me, when I was going through a ton of transitions after I found out I could not go home to my home country and I needed to find a place to live in a brand new city, which I didn't know. I'd been to a few times. My only point of reference was my boys' school. Obviously, I live in Portugal, so it's a predominantly Portuguese-speaking city, and my Portuguese is good enough. But in times of overload and stress, like trying to establish a new life in a foreign language, it just spun my mental body out. It was more than I could possibly imagine. And I'm more or less fluent. And so I really had to allow myself the comfort zone to seek out people that could help translate or speak English to make sure that what I was setting up was 100% accurate. And I had this whole vision for myself, like I was, okay, well, this is where I'm going to build my life. And so I've been missing community. I need to get out and find some way to get community, which is really hard to do when you're a mom to 2 little kids. Thinking maybe you can connect with some parents. Like I just started having all of these ideas being built, and I found myself like not even wanting to leave the house. And I was feeling really, really guilty about that. Like, wow, I'm really failing at this, right? And they're having me share this example of what I've been through because it's going to speak to some of you out there, and we'll kind of tie it all together at the end. And so I just felt myself like increasingly go downhill the more I ticked all these boxes. I got my house, I was getting the lay of the land, got the boys settled in school, and kind of going about, I was like, all right, now it's time for me to really think about how I'm going to make a living and create a life here for myself, because I had essentially been living out of savings. And well, obviously that's not going to go on forever. And I was getting to the point where I felt like I needed to work, and I just totally shut down. And I remember thinking, oh my God, something is like seriously wrong with me. And one day I noticed there was just a lot of hair on the bathroom floor. And mind, I have a medical background before I got into the Akashic records. And it clicked something in there. And I thought, wait a minute, there is something going on. And so I went and I was like, I think my thyroid needs some checking. And my thyroid was fine. But what I found out is my iron was almost non-existent. And I was resistant up into the point of actually seeing on a piece of paper that some aspect of my physical body was in dire need before I gave myself permission to go with that feeling of just resting and not pushing myself to do all of these things. And so it might not take something in your physical body just tanking out the way it did with me, but you don't have to hold yourself to this rigid standard of what your comfort zone looks like, what all of these things that you need to accomplish in order to get back up on the horse and these type of things. Allow yourself to really check in and be fluid with how you're feeling. And this is going to change. It may be changed from minute to minute. It may be hour to hour, day to day, week to week. You might have some good spots and some sad spots. Go with it, allow it, and allow yourself the permission. Yes, exactly. It is a huge process. And I keep a summed up story about it, but this was a really, it wasn't quite the 18 months, but I attribute that to doing healings with the Akashic records, because they really can assist in folding time by healing a little bit quicker. But it's still a work in process. I still am finding my feet here in Portugal, because it's not my birth country, and working on all of these hidden layers of trauma, I guess, and still understanding how things are unfolding. And so really, really commit to yourself and make this agreement with yourself that you are going to show up with grace for yourself. You will meet yourself with grace. And the more you can allow this grace to come in, if you're feeling down and you catch a part of you that's like, God, not again, or really, come on, you can get through this. You need to be somewhere else. Allow yourself that grace to process, because the more it processes it out, the less we're going to have inside of us. And as you're giving yourself grace, you really can allow yourself to be observing of what is going on with you. What is happening? And it allows you to check this judgment, because from my personal experience, I had a lot of judgment about how I should be sailing through this really tricky and difficult time, just because this is the way it was told to me that it was going to be, did not mean that I could just do it. I needed to allow myself this permission to process, stay really within my comfort zone. And for a while, my comfort zone was like, take my boys to school, come home, and maybe take a nap or do just a few things around the house, like literally just get enough done to where people were fed and had clean clothes. And I just gave myself time to rest until I could get those stores built back in my body. And then my comfort zone started to go out a little bit from there. But really allowing yourself to feel what you feel, you can begin to observe what is happening. And the more that you can shift into observing mode, when you can start to observe what's happening with my emotions, what is my mind doing? How is my physical body doing? What's going on with the inner child comes in a lot. What's going on with the inner child for me? An inner child can be anything from 5 minutes ago to the moment of inception. So It could be you can still have thoughts and memories about something that happened during your separation, your event, your trauma, and it could have been a year ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, whatever. That's still that inner child showing up, and really sitting with him or her is very, very beneficial. They often reveal a lot. And so the more you can start to observe, you get this kind of space created around you. And this space is what allows for a couple of things to bubble up, typically one at a time. And that means they're ready to be looked at and to be healed. And they can come up in a manageable fashion. The more we're kind of pushing out some space around us and allowing our aspects to be, do, feel, think, process the way that they need to. And just by thinking of ourselves as multidimensional beings creates that space to not have to do this all on your own shoulders and not have to do it perfectly, and allow this to unfold a little bit. And so when we can get to this point of space, and it's a bit of a process to get there, and so allowing these aspects is really important, we can start to look back in our love journey to figure out. And as you're doing this, you can look back in your love journey for healing and for patterns that may not be serving you any longer, because if you, for example, have had kind of like brokenhearted relationships that have repeated themselves, maybe they don't look the same. Different events throughout our timeline are going to have a through line, and that through line, those through lines are patterns of ours, some lessons we need to learn where we can heal them and go back and pick up aspects like our self-worth, our own power, or allowing ourselves to not be perfect and redefining love. And so the healing can really come from peeling off the trauma and the old residue from these situations. So start as far back from you can, and like look back and think about one of your first broken hearts. And it could be from like your first love. It could be maybe your parents were separated. Maybe you had a pet that passed away and your heart was just so broken. Whatever comes to mind is perfectly okay. And then think about like, what was it from? What was the cause of this? And you're going to start to like see a little bit of this story, and how did you overcome it? Right? Like, they're saying the example of the pet. So maybe you had a pet that passed away and it just absolutely broke your heart. And maybe you were able to have a ceremony for the pet. Maybe you had some space and time. Your family didn't get a new pet right away, but you still talked to your pet that passed away, or you had a stuffed animal that replaced that pet and you felt like that connection was still there. And over time, you know, maybe a new pet came into the family, and having that interim replacement stuffed animal pet was helpful for you. And so ask yourself, is there any aspect from that first heartbreak? Is there any aspect of that trauma in the familiar? Does it feel familiar to what you're feeling now? And let me know if there is a yes or a no. Yeah, very good. Absolutely. Great. And so now I want you to think about how you kind of got through that first trauma. What were some of the tools you used? As we talked about yesterday, time is not innately healing. So there's some action you took. Maybe somebody helped you. What aspects helped you then? And think about them in your current situation. Do you believe those aspects might be helpful now? Let me know. Exactly. Excellent, Marlene. Thank you so much for sharing. That's so beautiful, because that was a healing mechanism for you, but tied into that is also a pattern, right? So that's a very, very good example. And so you can really pull apart a pattern and receive some healing from that. So you can begin to ask yourself, like, how is keeping busy serving me? What aspect of me? Yeah, exactly. So what aspect of you feels like you're not worthy of feeling good? What aspect of you feels like you don't deserve you? Or what aspect of you feels out of balance? And so by asking these questions, and remember to come from the place of absolutely no judgment. When we get feelings like guilt, this is a really good sign we're onto something, and we can work with this. When we start to heal and peel back this guilt, we really can start to connect as to why. And so we're going to play a little bit of leapfrog here. So let's go with this guilt. And because this is part of the pattern healing. So I want you to think about the first time you felt guilty, or you felt like it was not okay for you to take time for yourself. And this is probably going to drive you way far back into your childhood. Anyway, that's the way I'm seeing it. Might come up for something different. So when you start to leap back, let me know about what age that happened for you. Exactly. Perfect. That's what I saw, about 4 or 5. And so when this 5-year-old, think about what happened to this 5-year-old, what was going on, and what made her feel this way. And so the way that she protected herself is just to feel busy. And so one of the ways that you can really get into understanding where a false belief or thought has come from. Exactly. Oh, that's, I got the pet information. I got the pet for you. Yeah. So you couldn't save him. And so that probably did not make you feel very good. And so when you're back with this 5-year-old, ask your 5-year-old self, what was happening? What did you hear? She's going to hear like a sentence or a statement that made her feel guilty, or she didn't deserve something. She's going to hear something. And Kim, and you couldn't save your pet. So this is coming forward in your current relationship. Like, what do you feel like you could not have saved, but you should have been able to? There's something connected into that. And so when we start to leapfrog back and forth, it takes us out of the details of this current event that we're in, and we can start to really pull apart these beautiful ways that we can start mending our heart. Because when we go back and heal this 5-year-old who felt really guilty and she heard something, and we're going to help that, whatever she heard, we're going to reprogram that with this healing today. And we're going to help this feeling really awful that you just couldn't save him, but you feel like he was your pet, you should have been able to, type of feelings, and what that did and how that is carried forward. Because these things, which are perfectly age appropriate for kids to feel, a 5-year-old to feel guilty, a 5-year-old when they hear something to feel guilty, someone who is young who could not save their pet. At any age, if you feel like this, these are perfectly appropriate responses. What they do over time is not serve you in the form of current relationships and connections with other people. And if anybody else is on here that has something that's coming up that they need some help with, let me know. Oh, wow. That is like, see, okay, right there. I'm so sorry. That's so compacted, right? There's so much involved there. You felt like you were not good enough. And it was the beginning of where something really awful started happening to you. And so, of course, you don't feel like you deserve love and support because this abuse is coming in. And then you lost your dog, and that dog was kind of like your connection, your person, right? And so having all of these things fall apart is going to make you feel somehow like this was all your fault and you're not good enough, because that is the way a 5-year-old's mind rationalizes things. They do not have the cognitive ability and the adult development that it is not a fault. And so these are starting to build these foundations that we were talking about yesterday. They're not inherently false beliefs. They're just built on the emotional development of a child. And we all have these. Breaking apart my own heartbreaks, I went back to several situations when I was little where I absolutely gave up my self-worth. I did not feel like I was deserving of love. And by going back and healing them, the way my external world has shifted and my internal world because of it is really incredible. So, all right, I'm actually feeling a lot of energy with what we're bringing up right now. And this is really good because I want to move us in to our healing. And I'm being guided to, when I send around the replay for this, I'm going to type up the notes of the steps of the healing versus the pattern, and how to go back and think, feel, when did you hear it? How did you hear it? Because this is a tool you can repeatedly do for yourself. And by continuing to do this, you're going to find more and more threads. And the more you can kind of see the connection, they're really going to start to be ready to be healed, and they're really going to ease your current situation. So I'll make sure we have these how-to notes when we go around with the replay. But this one is really good because we've got some big patterns here that are ready to come up. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable. You can sit up nice and tall. You can lay down, whatever feels right and true for you today. If you're listening to this and you are driving or operating heavy machinery, just hit pause and come back to this when you can be just in a space where you are safe and listen to this healing and meditation. So for those of us in class, go ahead and close your eyes and just drop down into your heart space. And take a deep breath, cleansing breath out. As you begin to breathe, take a nice seat in the bottom of your heart space. You're going to find an iridescent blue lotus flower. So go ahead and take a cozy seat in this lotus flower. And as you sit in this blue lotus flower, its petals are going to start to close around you like a really, really cozy cocoon. And these petals contain very secret codes and intelligence, healing keys, and they're going to start to transmit healing keys and codes that are going to start to activate this ancient wisdom within your DNA. And this ancient wisdom holds abundance codes. And these abundance codes are very, very specific to you connecting with your intrinsic abundance, the fullness and beautifulness, the vastness of you and your soul. And as this blue lotus is working its magic from up above, there's going to be a giant bucket of source energy. And this source energy is going to be white, pure white. And as it tips and pours, it's going to start dropping out like little raindrops. And each little raindrop that rains down is going to split into an infinite number of light strands. And as this light is going to rain down, it's going to rain down on your head, through your crown chakra, through your third eye, going to rain down through your throat chakra, down through your heart chakra, igniting your sacred heart. It's going to illuminate the space in your heart space around that blue lotus. So much so, you might even see some light codes, sacred geometry appearing in the petals of that lotus flower that is tucked around you. And this light is going to continue to stream down your torso, down your hips, down your legs, out to the tips of your toes. And as it reaches your toes, it's going to release your grounding roots out from the bottom of your feet. They're going to work their way down through all of the layers of the earth, through the crust, through the rocks, layer after layer, eventually reaching Gaia's heart chakra. And Gaia is going to assist you in connecting those roots all around and through her heart chakra. And she's going to wrap them tightly, securing you below. And she's going to send up a crystalline elixir, very, very powerful elixir of rose quartz and rhodonite. And it's going to be a pinkish red that's going to come up through your roots and work its way all the way up your toes, all the way up your legs, all the way into your heart space, where it's going to mix with those light strands. And it's going to continue to wrap all around, keeping you connected as above, so below, protected and connected 360 degrees all around. And as this is working its magic, we're going to call in the energy that wants to come in from the east. The guides, the plant medicine, the elementals, the masters of the highest vibration are now coming in from the east, bringing them in from the south, from the west, and from the north. And this protection is just going to hold extra space. We're allowing these crystalline energies to work their way around you, through you. And they're tuned to the frequency of grace, to allow yourself grace. And as these energies swirl around you, they're going to begin to dissolve the lotus flower. They're going to become one with the codes, the keys, and the healing properties. And as this light transmutes and becomes all together, you're going to be able to take a look around in your heart space. And in the back of your heart space, you're going to imagine, sense, or feel a door. And this particular door is just going to open to a small room, like a closet. And so the door you see may open, it may slide. I'm seeing one that lifts up from the bottom. Make your way over to the door. And as you put your hand on the door, your energy is going to unlock it. And as you unlock this door with your energy, you're going to step in. I'm going to step in, and there's a closet. And I want you to just observe, just take a look around. What's in your closet? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What temperature is it? And know that you are very, very safe and protected to be taking inventory in this closet. This is a special room only you have access to. Some of you might see photos, some of you might see boxes of things. Whatever it is, just take note and observe. When you've had time to make sense of or try and make sense of, and you're done in the closet, go ahead and step out of the closet and just close the door. And you're going to notice, sense, or feel to the right, another door is going to appear. And this door is different. You can feel its power. You can feel it illuminating you. You can feel it beckoning you. So I invite you to walk over to this door. And again, you're going to be able to open it with your own energy. There may be a knob, a push bar. You may just place your hand on the door. Whatever it is, open the door and step into the room. As you step into this room, you're going to be greeted with the energy of unconditional love. It's going to wrap its way around you like the compass, and it's going to be holding this space for you in this room. And as your space is being held with this unconditional love, 360 degrees around you, I want you to take a look around. You're going to see either a crystalline chair or a crystalline table. And when you find it, go ahead and walk over to where you imagine, sense, feel, or see this crystalline chair or table. And have a seat or lie down. And as you make your way onto whatever object, chair, or table you found in this beautiful, beautiful sanctuary that is protected and surrounded, your unconditional love is going to surround you in the chair or the table. And as you lay on this table or chair, it's going to activate and it's going to send a crystalline energy up through your body, through your being, working its way all the way through the layers of your physical body, your muscles, your bones, your cells, your nervous system. It's going to work its way all through your brain. And it's going to ground you and protect you and connect you to this chair or table. And as this table is connecting and holding you securely, from up above, the crystalline energy of Unakite Jasper is going to come in. And it's going to come in and it's going to start at your root chakra. And as the crystalline energy of Unakite Jasper comes in, it's going to gently start feeling up your root chakra. And once it feels your root, your first chakra, which is below the tip of your tailbone, it's going to work its way to your second, which is your sacral chakra. So be feeling, and you just know that you are safe. You are being held and protected. As your sacral chakra gets filled up with this beautiful, beautiful energy, it's going to work its way up to your solar plexus. And as it's working, it's filling your solar plexus. This beautiful crystalline energy of Unakite Jasper assists us in bringing forward patterns that are ready to be healed. So it is gently working its way through every chakra, magnetizing bringing forward any and all patterns that are willing and ready to be healed. Now that the solar plexus is full, it's going to wake its way up into your heart chakra. And in your heart chakra, it's swirling much more gently. It's swirling very slowly. It's being very mindful of the cracks and the crevices and the space that it occupies. You may feel it moving through your heart chakra in a different pattern, like a figure 8 versus some of the other chakras. And if it feels the same, that's okay too. Just know that it's being very mindful and gentle. And now it's working its way up through your throat chakra. And again, the swirling might be in a different direction. It might feel more like a hurricane. It might feel more like a tornado in the throat chakra, a little bit stronger of an energy. It's going to work its way up through your third eye. And it may be swirling from front to back or back to front. It may just be swirling on the tip of your forehead, just on the surface. And then it's going to work its way up the crown chakra. And once your crown chakra is all filled up, you're going to notice, sense, or feel. They may come in the form of thoughts. It may come in the form of feelings. You may actually see little patterns running around like a ticker board that are starting to float up from your body and being. Maybe they're going through your mind. Maybe you see them kind of blowing off like a kite in the wind. And as these patterns begin to loosen, the table is going to activate again, and selenite is coming in. Rhodonite is coming in. Black tourmaline, crystal cola, morganite are coming in. Ocean jasper, pink amethyst, orange adventurine. And some of these might not make sense where they're not actually the stones, but that's just the crystalline energy coming in to support and ground each and every chakra and releasing these patterns. And just allow these crystalline energies to simply lift out and blow away these old patterns that are ready to be healed, that are ready to be let go. And you might notice in both of your hands, you might notice the feeling of a grounding stone in your left and right hand. And those are showing up just to support you in feeling grounded and connected as this healing is happening. Just breathe with these energies. And as you breathe, you're going to notice, sense, or feel these energies are going to subside as they're transmuting them across all space and time, timelines and dimensions, portals, past lives, future lives, current lives, breaking with them, voiding, nulling any contracts, oaths, vows, or agreements that are no longer serving you, recycling them back to love and to light, carrying them across all space and time. So as these patterns are cleared, as we're releasing this guilt, the shame, the not being worthy. Maybe we should have been better. Whatever was released for you, it's time now to bring back in what you deserve, what you want. Self-worth is coming in, abundance is coming in. Innate abundance, again, from the energy of the blue lotus, tapping into this infinite abundant soul, this beautiful soul that you are, assisting you in connecting with your true essence. Go ahead and call in what it is that you want to bring back in, you want to bring in. As these patterns are coming in, I'm seeing red adventurine and ruby, and ocean jasper, and lepidolite, which is a very beautiful purple stone with silver and white flecks, coming in specifically, and they're weaving their way around your heart in a very particular pattern and manner that is unique and specific to you in this moment. And I'm hearing that these energies are going to continue to weave around your heart over the next 3 or 4 days after the healing is done. And as the crystalline table calms and deactivates and the energies subside, I want you to get up off the table or out of the chair when you are ready and make your way back out of the room. The unconditional love is going to stay with you and follow you when you come out of the room. Know that it's still around you in that compass format, 360 degrees. And as you close the door behind you, you're going to make your way back over to the first door, the closet. And walking up to the door, I just want you to take note. How does the door feel? Does it feel different? Does it feel the same? And so with your energy, you're going to unlock the door again, and you're going to step back in just as a curious observer and take a look around. What does the room look like now? Is it different? Is it the same? Is it the same room? Is it a different room? And just take note of what has occurred, what has changed. And when you're ready, go ahead and make your way back out of the closet. Or make your way back into your heart space. You begin to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, take a few deep breaths. And when you're ready, you can come back to the here and now. And when you're back, let me know how that was for you. What happened with your closet? Oh, so beautiful, Marlene. I love that. Some head. Yeah, it's really interesting when we first go in and we can see these different objects, and then we go back in and see how healing that it can be. And I love that in your actual second closet, you had a healing bed. That's so great. Because now we know how we can create a little bit of space for ourselves. And you can go back to that closet with that healing bed anytime you want. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling not good enough, you're feeling anything around any of the heartbreaks that you've suffered in your past or your current situation, go back into that closet and just lay on that healing bed and receive the healing that comes from it. We can continue to go back to spaces that we create like this for ourselves and continue to receive healing. Yeah, that was really interesting that even my closet was very different the second time. The first one almost felt, you could almost see the dust in the air, and like I couldn't really see through, you could just see the dust through the light beams, and it was just very dingy. And the second time it was like a completely different closet with lots of light and windows coming in. And the energy felt really different. The first time it was not so comfortable to approach the closet door, is a lot what I was feeling from some of you. Yeah, I see. And this is what is really beautiful about this process, is that you're only going to work with what is you're able to. It's going to meet you where you're at. And so I will pull out these healings and keep them as recordings, and they'll be free, obviously. So you can go back and listen to them again. And every time it's going to be a little different. The abuse is rooted under there more deeply, and some layers need to come off around your heart, and some patterns need to be healed before you can start working on that, because that will just be too much for integrating in your nervous system. It's just going to be too much. And so starting with the heart was really beautiful. Yeah, I will show post a link to my Facebook group. Let me pull it up, or my Facebook page here. So starting with the heart is going to be really nice. And remember that those healing crystals are going to be continue to wrapping those threads around your heart for the next like 3 days. So just pay attention if that starts to change. But going in and working with the abuse is going to be something that's happening on a deeper level. Let me see, here I am. Okay, this is my Facebook page. Everything goes on that. You can watch the lives on there. I post a lot of information. I just post and I'll do some free healings and things like that. In terms of going deeper and wanting to go in, this is why I have created this love journey healing and recalibration. And I just put that link in there for something to think about. This is a one-on-one with me where we go in a little bit deeper, and we can clear the energy from various events in your timeline. So we can clear it on a deeper level, so we can start peeling back those deeper layers in a way that you can integrate. And then we can recalibrate it by not having those old energies beacon out what we're attracting more in. Because when you're going to start to do some of this leapfrogging, going around your love journey, you're going to go back and say, when was the first time I felt not worthy? Oh, what did I hear? Oh, my mom told me I always make mistakes. And so, like we can keep going back and forth, and I'll post the how-to on my Facebook page as well. That's an easy place to access it. You're going to start uncovering more and more. So going back and clearing all of that, and those patterns, those subconscious things we heard, or those things that our inner child experienced that became actual thought patterns in our subconscious mind is what is attracting things into our reality now. So the more we can go in and clear those up and make sure we know what's going on in the subconscious in the background, cleaning those loops and old stories or thought patterns that are just no longer serving us, is what's really going to bring more healing into our physical world and allow us that space around ourselves and the peace that we feel. So anybody else have any questions about today? That was a really big healing. So give yourself grace about how you feel afterward. Over the next few days, I'm here, and they keep reminding me, and it's over the next few days. And so if anybody has questions, please post them. You can post them on my Facebook page. You can pop them in the chat. Tomorrow, day 3, we're going to be talking more about how the Akashic records can fold time in your healing. And I'm going to do a really fun part in the back half of the call. We're going to do some Q&A. So I'll channel the answers to some of your questions you have around love, relationships, healing. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I love doing that. It's so fun. So think of some questions in some areas you might want some guidance. And I'm hearing that it might just come up from the healing. You might understand, you might want a deeper understanding of some things that we did today. So thank you all so much for being here. I wish you all a very, very beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.